Welcome to Break the Board Sports. This is your boy RJ Cash coming in, talking about Friday night football best bets. We go through the college football slate, 4 games, Thursday and Friday in college football. We're going to break them all down, give you the betting trends, the splits, everything to help you become a better handicapper. Again, click that like button, hit subscribe. You can go to breaktheboardsports.com. We have all of our NFL notes, and check out our baseball show each and every day. NBA and NHL season coming up. We put out 2 to 3 clips a day. It's about to get really busy between college hoops, NBA, NHL, college football, NFL football, just a lot of information. We're here to help you become a better handicapper. Let's get right into it. First game on the board, Army, Thursday night will visit East Carolina. East Carolina laying 5.5. You're over under 52.5. Right now, 51% of bets and 56% of handles on the Pirates of East Carolina. 49% of bets and 44% of the handle on Army. Army been a little Jekyll and Hyde, had the big win at K-State, and then North Texas kind of fell apart last week in that one, was able to get to overtime, but ultimately couldn't cover the spread. When you look at these two teams from a head-to-head standpoint, they've only played each other one time. That was last year. That was at Army, a game in which Army won that game 45-28 there at home against East Carolina. Now, Army's 2-5 against the spread their last 7 games overall, despite being 16-4 straight up over their last 20. But against East Carolina, it's been a house of horrors. 1-8 straight up the last 9 versus the Pirates, and 0-4-1 ATS the last 5 versus East Carolina. East Carolina's been on a nice little ATS run. 4-1 ATS over their last 5, 7-3 straight up. Now the under has cashed 9 of the 13 games East Carolina has played at home there in Carolina. When I look at this one, looking at splits, I think Army's going to keep this one close. If I was getting 7, it would be a play that personally I'd have on it. The fact that it's 5, it's really in no man's land right now. So just going to be a stay away, but I'll be interested. I always say this. A great advantage you have as a bettor, you don't always have to make a bet on a game. And the second part is you can wait and get the line you want, right, or buy up. Right now, that's set at 5. I just kind of hold and wait. But if I was forced to make a play, I would lean Army and I would lean under. But right now, I'm just going to let it ride and see how things goes. It's only Wednesday. Let's see how things move over the next 24 hours. Next game on the big board, Florida State. They're coming off the bye. They go to Virginia. Virginia had to win last week. Right now, Florida State opened up 6.5. They're a 7-point favored. Flat, over under 59.5 right now. Overwhelming amount of money on the Seminoles, which is to be expected. They're a hot talked about team right now. 86% of bets and 63% of the handle to Florida State. 14% of bets and 37% of the handle to the Cavaliers and Wahoo's up Virginia. You're over under 59.5. 72% of bets, 52% of money to the over. 28% of bets and 48% of the money to the under. Right now, Florida State has gone over the total 5 of their last 6 games. They're 4-1 straight up their last 5, including 12-3 straight up versus Virginia. Florida State, just an absolute amazing run against the Wahoos. Of course, the Wahoos haven't been very good over the past couple of years, but the fact Florida State here is 12-3. That's still impressive. But Florida State has struggled on the road, 1-4 straight up on the road over their last 5. Now, we talked about the over cashing 5 of Florida State's last 6 contests. 5 straight games, Virginia has covered the over, right? So there's 2 trends you got going for the over. However, when these 2 teams hook up, the under has cashed 10 of the last 11 meetings that these 2 have played. So that does give you room to pause there and kind of look at. Now, Virginia 5-2 against the spread, their last 7 games at home. If you dig a little bit deeper and you look at they haven't played since 2019. That was a game at UVA. That was a game UVA was able to win 31-24 over Florida State. And the big one here is obviously Florida State is going to be the play that most everybody bets, right? And I think if you wanted to say Florida State in a money line parlay, I could see that. Here's the problem is how focused now. They're coming off the bye, so that helps. But let's be real here. Next Saturday night on ABC, the main primetime game of college football, Saturday Night Football, Herb Street Fowler in the game. They're going to be in Tallahassee for Florida State and Miami. Not only is it a rivalry, they're both top 10 teams. Miami might be the best team in the country right now. So you got to wonder, that Florida State defense, how motivated are they going to be to slow down Virginia? How motivated is Florida State going to be? And that's one thing you can never handicap, is the emotion and the focus of teenage and young 20-year-old kids. Florida State right now, if you look at them from an offensive standpoint, number one ranked offense in the country, 628.7 yards. Virginia hanging around the 43rd ranked defense in the country. They give up about 313 yards a game. But you look at 628 yards a game, rounded up 629 for Florida State. Virginia, surprisingly, they're not that far behind. They're about 60 yards behind, a little less than 60, 564 yards. But again, that Florida State defense, 248 for them. Again, when you look at the head-to-head matchups with these two teams, it's been since 2019. But if you look, Florida State, when the game's been at Virginia, Virginia's been able to hold them semi-close here. So, again, I would wait, see if a hook would pop up. I do believe Florida State wins the game. One of the biggest pieces of advice I can give you is favorites have never treated me all that well, and laying points on the road is something you should never do. But again, if you wanted to say, hey, I like Florida State in a two-team money line parlay, to be honest with you, I'm going to be on Florida State, but I think this game's going to be a whole lot closer than 7. I just don't have the gumption to be able to take UVA in this spot. Another big one that's going to have college football playoff and Big 12 implications is going to be TCU and Arizona State. Big game coming up for these two teams. TCU undefeated, Arizona State 3-1 on the year. Right now, TCU's catching 2.5. The handle is split, so the money's 50-50. But the bets is what intrigues me here. 66% of bets on TCU, 34% on Arizona State. TCU's look good, but I question who TCU's really played. I mean, I don't really think SMU's as good as what people think they are. We now know North Carolina is no good with Bill Belichick. Arizona State, they've been battle tested. Yes, they let that one slip away to Mississippi State, but if they don't, they're 4-0, and instead of TCU being 24th, Arizona State's probably ranked like 15th in the country. They had that game against Baylor, which was a huge one, was able to come back, get the win there. So the fact 34% of bets to Arizona State, 66 to TCU, but the money split, I think that throws up a red flag here. I think TCU is a little bit of a trendy dog in this one, and I think this dog might have fleas. Your over-under is 55.5. And again, overwhelming support to the over, 83% of tickets compared to just 17% on the under. And then your handle, 89% of the money to the over, just 11% to the under in this one. And TCU over their last 7 games is 6-1 against the spread. In that span of 7 games, they've reeled off 7 straight. Sonny Dykes has got them playing and rolling down there at TCU. 4-1 against the spread their last 5 on the road. 5-1 straight up the last 6 versus a Big 12 opponent. Arizona State has been no slouch. Over their last 11 contests, they're 9-2 straight up and 9-2 against the spread, including 8-0 at home. Listen, Tempe's a whole different animal down there that the Horned Frogs are walking into Friday night. Here's another thing. Against the Big 12, Arizona State, 7-0 against the spread. That's just an absolute remarkable number when you truly think about it. And I think TCU is going to have their hands full in this one. Now, a couple other stats to throw in here. Again, we're here to help you become a better handicapper, giving you all the information you need to be able to make the bet yourself and not have to rely on somebody. But if you would like our picks, $1.37 a day, go to breaktheboardsports.com. That's every play in every sport. Check out that notes blog section for the NFL. We have quick hitter notes. You're going to love those. TCU averaging 516 yards of offense per game. They're about 110 better a game as Arizona State's averaging 406. Now, defense, though, very similar. TCU giving up 353 yards a game compared to Arizona State giving up 334 yards per game. Obviously, TCU has a really good quarterback. Arizona State, while they're not as good as they were last year, I think Again, this is going to be a really tough test for TCU. I don't know if I'm going to have a play on this game yet. Right now, I would lead to the home team on the money line. But also, we just talked about getting Florida State just to win. If you told me I could take Florida State -1 and TCU up to +8.5, I think TCU can keep this close in a one-score game. I'm not big on college teasers. However, if I could get TCU +8.5 with Florida State -1, I think that's definitely something you got to look at. I think it has some value for sure. Here's a game that opened up 12.5, went down to 11. Now it's back up to 13.5. And I think by the time this thing closes, we're going to be at 14, maybe even 14.5. Houston Cougars on the road in Corvallis at Oregon State. This Oregon State team has just fallen apart since Josh Smith departed for Michigan State. Houston, 82% of the ticket count compared to just 18% for the Beavers. 86% of the handle on Houston compared to just 14% for the Beavers of Oregon State. Your over-under sets at 47.5, and kind of like we do every single college football game, it's all over all the time. 79% of tickets and 71% of the money on the over, 29% of the handle to the under. Look, I got to tell you, if I can get 14 with Oregon State, I'm in. Cash me into it. And you say, how could you possibly take Oregon State? They've looked pathetic. This is a tougher game for Houston than what meets the eye. First of all, Corvallis is a very, very difficult place to play. But more importantly, you always look at what's ahead. And what's ahead for Houston there is they have a huge matchup next week at home, interstate rivalry. Houston welcomes Texas Tech, the 12th ranked team in the country, and maybe a top 6 or 7 team in Texas Tech. They just smoked Utah. Houston's focused on them. Oregon State is, hey, let's just go up there and get out of there with a win. Houston's been good at that, 4-1 against the spread over the last 5. But listen, Oregon State wants to slow this thing down. When you talk about staying within 2 touchdowns, the under has cashed 15 of the last 20 for Houston. But on the road, Houston has not been that same dynamic team. They're only 3-9 straight up their last 12 road games. Oregon State, I know they're no bargain. 0-5 straight up their last 5, 2-10 against the spread their last 12, and 1-5 against the spread their last 6 versus the Big 12. I'm not saying Oregon State's a sexy play. It's a hazmat suit game for sure. You bet it, you don't watch it. You wake up the next morning and be happy that you bet it. If you watch this game, it's going to drive you absolutely insane. I just don't think this Houston team is good enough to be going up to the Pacific Northwest and laying 2 touchdowns on the road. Now, the key with that is you got to get 14. I wouldn't take 13.5. There's just no value in that whatsoever. Houston's averaging about 388 yards a game on offense. Oregon State 319, but obviously the defense, huge disparity as to where Oregon State's given up 464 yards a game. Houston's given up 224 yards a game. Their defense has been really good. But again, I'm going to take the Beavers as a home dog getting 2 touchdowns. Houston, not a good road team. And I'm also looking at next week, Houston. Their eyes got to be on the prize for that game against Texas Tech. So Oregon State plus the 14. We're going to stay away from the East Carolina Army game for right now. Florida State, again, I could see them in a money line parlay, but I think this game's going to be close. They're baiting you with 7. I really thought this was going to be a 2-touchdown spread. The fact that it's 7, the fact that it even opened up 6.5, again, for the same reasons we talk about Houston next week, Florida State's got to be focused on that huge, huge rivalry where both teams are now national championship contenders as they face Miami. And then again, the TCU-Arizona State game, I think that's a coin flip all the way. But if I had to make the bet at right now where we set on a Wednesday, I would lean to the Sun Devils. But officially, just take Oregon State plus 14. I think that's the play. Again, click that like, hit subscribe. We put out 2 to 3 pieces of content a day. The Break the Board Sports is about helping you become a better handicapper so you can handicap your own games. God bless and happy